The man once filmed giving out cash on the street was now in handcuffs. Jabara had built a public life that looked flawless. His social media filled with luxury cars, lavish events, and staged acts of generosity. Everything appeared perfect. The videos made him seem like a generous man who wanted to help others. He appeared to be a successful businessman who cared for his community, but that image was only a mask. It helped him convince people to hand over their money. Investigators later proved that his good deeds were part of a plan. Behind the scenes, he was running scams that took at least $8 million from people who trusted him. These schemes left financial damage in the same neighborhoods that once celebrated him. From around 2019 to early 2021, he operated a company called Halal Capital LLC. Prosecutors said it worked like a Ponzi-style setup. He claimed it was a safe investment based on faith principles. He promised that the money would be used to buy and resell products like electronics and protective gear, which would bring steady profits. Investors were given written agreements and reassurance that their funds were secure. But instead of running real business deals, he used the money for himself. He spent it on expensive cars, jewelry, and gambling. The official complaint explained that his business was just a cover for using investors' money for personal gain. One thing made his scam more convincing: his social media reach. People saw him giving out cash online and believed he was genuinely successful. That gave him credibility. Many of his investors came from his own faith community. They trusted him because of shared beliefs and cultural ties. But the confidence he created was fake. When some people asked for their money back, there wasn't enough left. The setup collapsed like a classic Ponzi system, where new money was used to pay earlier investors. In the end, millions were gone and trust was broken. There was also a second part to his schemes, involving cryptocurrency. On online trading platforms, he offered to buy digital coins at prices higher than the market rate. That drew people looking for quick deals. Once sellers sent their cryptocurrency, he sent them fake bank transfer receipts as proof of payment. The screenshots looked real, but were edited. In reality, he never sent the money. One seller reported losing 50 Bitcoin after being shown a fake confirmation for more than $2.5 million. This trick allowed him to collect cryptocurrency without paying for it. Why did he focus on people from his own community? Investigators said it was because it made them easier targets. People naturally trust someone who shares their faith or background. He used that connection to make his offers sound honest. The SEC said he used promises of faith-based investments to gather over $8 million. What looked like a community opportunity was actually a trap. As more people came forward, the investigation grew. Victims contacted the FBI and other federal offices. By 2021, his activities led to his arrest. In a separate state case, he admitted guilt in a dispute involving another person. That state punishment ran alongside his federal case. Federal prosecutors in Brooklyn later charged him with wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. He admitted guilt to all three in November 2022. The case papers describe exactly how he ran the Halal Capital scheme, faked crypto payments, and spent investors' money on himself. At his sentencing in April 2024, the court reviewed everything. The U.S. Attorney's Office explained how he used his online image to fool people into sending money. The government asked for a strong punishment that matched the financial harm and loss of trust he caused. On April 24, 2024, Judge Frederick Block sentenced him to 7 years in federal prison for fraud and money laundering. The court also ordered him to give up $10 million in assets. The exact amount to be returned to victims will be decided later. His federal sentence runs at the same time as his 5-year state punishment. His lawyer said the total includes time he has already spent in custody since 2021. After the hearing, reporters quoted his lawyer saying that he apologized deeply to those affected. That short statement was the only clear sign of remorse that appeared in the media. Most reports focused on the details of his actions and the financial harm left behind. Prosecutors said his motive was clear: to fund a luxurious lifestyle. Investigators found large purchases that matched that story, including costly cars, expensive jewelry, and heavy gambling. Both the SEC and the U.S. Attorney's Office confirmed that he used investor money for his own personal spending. Victims shared their experiences after the case became public. Some had invested their savings, thinking they were supporting a safe and faith-friendly business. Others lost cryptocurrency after being shown false payment proofs. Getting that money back is very difficult. Even when courts order repayment, the process takes years and often ends with only partial recovery. Many people are still struggling to get back what they lost. Court records describe how his scams worked. There was the Ponzi-style setup, the crypto trick, and hidden money transfers to disguise where the funds went. But beyond the documents, the real pain was emotional. Small business owners, older investors, and community members who trusted him were left with financial losses and broken trust. The damage felt even worse because it came from someone within the same circle. He had presented himself as a man of faith and success. After sentencing, many of his social media accounts disappeared. The online image that once made him famous was erased, leaving behind only the story of how it all fell apart. Now see how the next woman built an empire on stolen identities and Instagram filters. Danielle Miller's downfall didn't happen all at once. It was more like a slow slide that finally hit the bottom. She was someone who cared deeply about how she looked to the world. Over time, that desire for status led her to take things that didn't belong to her to keep up her image. She grew up in New York City in a well-off family. Her father worked as an estate attorney and had once been a respected figure in the city's legal circle. Her mother had performed for years as a Radio City Rockette. This background shows that Danielle's actions weren't driven by need. They came from a hunger for attention and the habit of pretending to be more successful than she really was. For years, she pulled small tricks to appear wealthy, but those tricks eventually grew into something much bigger: federal charges for financial deception. Her main scheme took place during the pandemic. She took advantage of relief programs meant to help struggling businesses and unemployed people. From around July 2020 to May 2021, she used personal information from more than 10 individuals to apply for government relief funds. She registered fake business names to receive loans and unemployment benefits that were supposed to go to real people in need. In total, she got more than $1 million through these false applications. She used fake driver's licenses that showed her photo but had other people's names. She opened bank accounts under those names and even used state motor vehicle records to make her fake identities look real. Once the money came in, she spent it freely. She rented private jets, stayed in luxury hotels, leased expensive apartments, and bought high-end fashion items. Much of this was shown publicly on her Instagram account, where she had tens of thousands of followers. Her posts made her look rich and glamorous, but it was all paid for with other people's identities. Why did she use other people's names instead of just lying on one form? The reason was simple: credibility. Using someone else's verified information made her applications look legitimate. Relief programs required proof of identity, so she combined stolen names, matching IDs, and fake bank accounts to make her requests seem real. It worked for a while, but it caused real harm to others. Those people were left dealing with ruined credit and confusion over money taken in their names. Investigators later discovered that she had even gained access to an online state database in Massachusetts to collect personal details. Using that data, she opened a bank account in one person's name. In August 2020, she used a fake driver's license from Massachusetts to book a Gulfstream jet from Florida to California. She then stayed in a luxury West Hollywood hotel, again charging everything to an account opened with another person's identity. In another instance, she leased a high-end apartment in Florida using a different person's name. The pattern was always the same: take an identity, set up financial access, spend money, and show off the results online. It was a repeating cycle that looked bold, but was built on deception. According to prosecutors, Danielle did all of this for one main reason: to live a glamorous life and gain attention online. They said she used the pandemic relief money to fund a lavish lifestyle of private jets and luxury apartments. Danielle herself once told reporters she saw herself as a con artist, saying she enjoyed the challenge of tricking people and planning her schemes. She seemed to take pride in her ability to fool others, which explains why it became a long pattern and not a one-time act. Federal investigators eventually began to notice. A special task force that focused on document and benefit fraud started reviewing unusual loan applications. Banks also noticed irregular transactions in accounts that didn't match the real owners. Audits of unemployment and loan programs revealed inconsistencies between applicants' names and the people actually spending the money. This led to a federal grand jury indictment in July 2021. Danielle was taken into custody in May 2021 and later admitted guilt in March 2023 to 3 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of identity misuse. Her court hearings painted a striking contrast. The woman who had flaunted luxury online now stood in front of a judge facing the results of her actions. In her plea, she admitted the key facts of the case. Federal documents described her as someone who wasn't an influencer, but a convicted fraudster. The court required her to give up several expensive items she had bought with the stolen money. These included a Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag, and other designer accessories listed in forfeiture notices. On September 7, 2023, U.S. District Court Chief Judge F. Dennis Saylor IV sentenced Danielle Miller to 5 years in federal custody. After that, she would serve 3 more years under supervision. The court also ordered that the amount she owed to victims and the government be calculated later to make sure everyone affected could be properly repaid. The next individual made millions teaching others how to invest. Now he's the one facing the losses. Tyler Bossetti became known online for talking about money. He posted videos, ran a podcast, and built a personal brand. He presented himself as a young finance expert who could turn small investments into big profits. People followed him for credit advice, real estate tips, and a glimpse into what he called the boss lifestyle. What started as a social media brand later turned into a major financial deception that moved millions of dollars from investors into his own accounts. Records and court documents show how the plan grew over time. It began small, but became much larger between 2019 and 2023. Bossetti, through his company called Boss Lifestyle LLC, promoted what he described as short-term real estate investments that paid high and steady returns. He used Facebook and YouTube to advertise these offers, claiming investors could earn as much as 30% or more in a short period. Dozens of investors from inside and outside the United States sent him money, trusting his confident image and videos. In total, Bossetti collected more than $23 million from investors. Investigators later said those investors lost more than $11 million in the process. The plan worked like a classic financial trap. New investor money was used to make payments to earlier investors, creating the illusion that everything was working. Instead of using the money for real property deals, large portions were diverted elsewhere. According to court papers, Bossetti arranged for around 14 false tax forms, known as 1099 INTs, to be filed. These forms showed interest income for investors who had not actually received any returns. He told investors that their profits were being reinvested, but in reality, the money was being spent. Those documents helped him keep the illusion alive and made the operation look legitimate. Many people believed him because of how he presented himself online. He looked successful, traveled often, and appeared to live the life he was promoting. This combination of confidence, urgency, and the promise of fast results made people trust him and invest quickly. Bossetti later admitted that he used investor funds for personal use and luxury spending. Court documents list specific examples, such as rent for a condo in downtown Columbus, frequent travel, a $150,000 Mercedes SUV, and large cryptocurrency purchases. Federal investigators said these were not business expenses, but personal spending and risky bets. Money that should have gone toward real estate projects instead went toward maintaining his image and lifestyle. Eventually, the plan ran out of money to keep operating. The process was carefully managed. Investors sent money to bank accounts connected to Bossetti's businesses. He used these accounts to collect funds and make selective payouts to appear legitimate. When tax season arrived, the false tax forms made everything look official. Those forms were not mistakes. They were created to make investors believe the investments were real and to delay any suspicion. Investigators highlighted this point because it showed deliberate effort to mislead people using official paperwork. The losses affected many. Families, retirees, and everyday investors were caught in the scheme. Some saw their savings vanish, while others lost money they had been planning to use for future goals. The totals, over $23 million collected and more than 11 million lost, represent more than just numbers. They reflect broken trust, lost opportunities, and financial strain for many people. In April 2025, prosecutors filed formal charges. By June 13, 2025, Bossetti admitted guilt in federal court. He accepted responsibility for misleading investors and for causing false tax forms to be filed. The charges include wire-related financial misconduct and assisting in filing false tax documents. These offenses carry potential prison sentences of up to 20 years for one count and up to 3 years for the other. The final sentence will be decided later by the court, after considering factors like the amount of loss and the number of affected people. In the meantime, Bossetti is awaiting sentencing. The process will determine how long he will serve, what fines he may face, and how much restitution he must pay to investors. Some investors may also take civil action to recover part of their money through separate lawsuits. Public records do not share much about Bossetti's private life. What is known is that he chose to spend investor money on personal luxuries and cryptocurrency trading instead of the projects he had promised. Court documents list these details clearly, showing how the funds were redirected. But why go so far as to file fake tax forms? The reason was credibility. Those forms made it look as if the investments were real and that investors were earning returns. For many, seeing tax paperwork from the company gave a sense of security and trust. Involving the IRS in the illusion made it seem even more official and delayed doubts. This helped extend the plan's life, as people believed everything was legitimate. Investigators said this act was one of the strongest signs of deliberate deception, not carelessness. Up next is a woman who sold confidence and health. But behind the screen, people were getting sick. And if you find stories like these important, consider subscribing. She became known on Instagram as a friendly and energetic fitness coach. Her posts included workouts, motivational talks, healthy recipes, and a personal story about recovering from an eating disorder. That story helped her gain a loyal following and build a business. In 2014, she started selling what she called personalized nutrition and fitness plans through her website, bedawnfit.com. She promised her clients customized calorie targets, unique meal plans, one-on-one check-ins, and workouts tailored to their needs. Many people trusted her and signed up, paying anywhere from around $90 for a single consultation to $300 for longer programs. But later, questions began to appear about how the business was actually being run. The issues were not related to physical harm or street-level crimes. Instead, they involved consumer protection concerns. Investigators and many former clients said that the personalized programs were often not personal at all. Instead of custom coaching, people received general plans that looked the same for everyone. When they reached out for advice, they often got quick, casual replies like, "You've got this, babe," instead of proper guidance. Some clients had told her that they were dealing with eating disorders. Despite that, they received plans focused on weight loss, which were not suitable for their condition. Court documents mention that a few clients became unwell after following these plans. One person even fainted from not getting enough nutrition. For many, the gap between what was promised and what was delivered caused serious health problems, not just disappointment. Behind the scenes, it appeared that money and online pressure were key motivators. Selling digital products to a large audience can be highly profitable, especially when marketed as one-on-one coaching. People were paying for access to someone they admired online. But when that access turned out to be limited or automated, the business earned more money from the volume of customers rather than the quality of service. The Texas Attorney General's office viewed this as misleading marketing and a failure to provide the promised services. The lawsuit stated that she charged for things that were not delivered as advertised, even including shipping fees for digital products sent through email. These details formed the basis of the legal case. Public frustration started building in 2019. Many customers began sharing their experiences in online groups. A Facebook group formed with thousands of members, all comparing stories and asking for answers. She eventually responded with apologies and offered refunds. But the situation got worse when it was discovered that she asked some people to sign non-disclosure agreements before getting their refund. Many saw that as an attempt to silence criticism. After widespread backlash, she stopped using those agreements. Still, some people said they only received partial refunds or none at all. The legal process officially began when the Texas Attorney General's office received multiple complaints in 2019. After investigating, they filed a lawsuit in February 2022. The state accused her of violating the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. The government asked the court to stop her from selling any plans labeled as personalized unless they truly were. They also requested that customers receive refunds and that civil penalties be applied. The case was set for trial in May 2023. But 2 weeks before the trial started, both sides reached a settlement. She agreed to pay $400,000 in total. That amount included customer refunds, state penalties, and legal fees. The agreement also stated that if she broke the rules again, additional fees could be added. The settlement permanently banned her from offering personalized fitness or nutrition programs unless she truly performs the one-on-one assessments and support she advertises. It also prevents her from claiming to have special training in treating eating disorders and from charging extra fees for electronic products. The next case asked a question no one expected to see in court. Can a meme be a crime? Douglas Mackey started out as an online operator. Later, he became known as a political provocateur. But after years of legal battles, he became the face of a debate over whether memes can cross the line into breaking the law. He ran a popular Twitter account under the name Ricky Vaughn. The account was made to attract attention and build a following. By the year 2016, the Ricky Vaughn persona had tens of thousands of followers. It posted a steady stream of political jokes, and edited images supporting Donald Trump's campaign. Independent researchers ranked the account among the most influential during the election. The Southern Poverty Law Center and several journalists also reported that the posts linked to this account included content that targeted racial and religious groups in harmful ways. Those details, the reach, the tone, and the connections, later became important when investigators looked back at what had happened before Election Day. Mackey grew up in Vermont and studied at Harwood Union High School. He graduated from Middlebury College in 2011 with a degree in economics. For a time, he worked as an economist for a consulting company. These facts seemed very different from the online character he created, which was loud, edgy, and meant to go viral. Friends and local reporters said his parents were shocked when national media linked their son to the Ricky Vaughn account. What had started as online trolling and political teasing slowly turned into a government case, claiming that his online campaign was designed to stop certain people from voting. The case against him wasn't about money or a scam. It was about interfering with the voting process. Prosecutors said Mackey and others posted images that looked like real campaign materials. Those images told people they could vote for Hillary Clinton by sending her name to a 5-digit phone number. One of the images read, "Avoid the line. Vote from home. Text Hillary to 59925. Thousands of people actually sent messages to those numbers. Investigators found that about 4,900 unique phone numbers had done so. The government said these posts were mainly directed at communities that were likely to support Clinton, especially Black and Latino voters, and were meant to confuse them into thinking they had already voted. Mackey was charged under a federal law known as Section 241, which was originally made to protect people's right to vote. Prosecutors said Mackey's actions were a modern version of that kind of interference, using false online messages instead of physical intimidation. Why would someone do this? The simplest answer is influence. Online, attention brings power. In politics, attention can shift opinions. Mackey's supporters claimed that the images were meant as jokes, not real instructions. But prosecutors said they were carefully made to look official, using campaign logos and realistic designs. Evidence showed that in private chats between online political groups, participants talked about ways to reduce voting numbers among Democratic-leaning groups. The government said the posts were not random jokes, but part of a planned effort, with public posts matching private conversations. At trial, the two sides presented very different stories. The government showed the meme images and private Twitter chat logs where strategies were discussed. They even brought a cooperating witness who spoke about how the group spread those posts. Mackey's lawyers said posting an image is not the same as joining a criminal plan. They argued that reposting or sharing memes doesn't prove a shared goal to interfere with voting. The defense said the posts were political speech, rough and offensive maybe, but still protected. Legal experts followed the case closely because it raised difficult questions about online misinformation and free speech. In March 2023, a jury agreed with the government. Mackey was found guilty of conspiracy against rights after a 3-week trial in Brooklyn under Judge Ann M. Donnelly. During sentencing in October 2023, the judge said his actions were nothing short of an assault on our democracy. Mackey was given 7 months in federal prison. The government said this sentence was meant as a warning to others who might try to use false information to stop people from voting. His lawyers asked for leniency, saying he had attended therapy and changed his behavior since 2016, but the judge still decided on prison time. Then came the appeal. Mackey's legal team argued that prosecutors never proved he had agreed with anyone else to take part in the plan. They said the evidence showed only that he posted online content, not that he had joined private discussions about misleading voters. In July 2025, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals agreed. The 3-judge panel said there was not enough evidence to show that Mackey had entered an agreement with others to interfere with voting. The judges explained that even if a meme is meant to mislead, posting it alone does not prove participation in a coordinated plan. Because of that, the appeals court overturned his conviction and ordered the lower court to clear the charge. The decision highlighted how fine the line can be between harmful online speech and an actual criminal act, especially when no clear coordination is proven. The next man's wealth didn't come from followers or trading. It came from something entirely unexpected. Charles Parks built a public image that looked like a success story. He called himself a crypto influencer who helped others win in the new digital money world. He made polished videos, talked about strategies, and sold the dream of quick wealth. But behind the scenes, there was a hidden plan. According to federal investigators, Parks secretly used other people's machines and electricity for his own gain. Between January and August of 2021, he carried out a well-planned operation that took over cloud computing power from two large companies. He used that stolen computing strength to create nearly $1 million worth of cryptocurrency. The total value of the stolen cloud services was over $3.5 million. This was not a small or simple hack. Court papers showed that Parks built fake companies and used them to gain access to powerful online servers. Some of these fake names were Multimillionaire LLC and CP30 LLC. He made real-looking email accounts and company profiles to fool cloud service providers. Whenever these companies asked about the unusual activity or the growing unpaid bills, Parks came up with believable excuses. He claimed he was running an online training company. He said he needed huge amounts of computing power to teach thousands of students. These stories sounded real enough to buy him time and trust. That trust gave him access to hundreds of machines he never paid for. Instead of being used for online training, the servers secretly mined digital coins like Ether, Litecoin, and Monero. Parks didn't try to stay quiet about his lifestyle. He went online and showed off. In his videos, he displayed expensive items, taught success mindsets, and made his followers believe he had earned everything through skill and timing. In one video from September 2022, Parks said he had set a goal to make 7 digits. He described how he spent 10 days building a crypto script that ran on a large scale. Then he proudly said he didn't have to work for the rest of the year. He even mentioned buying a Mercedes-Benz AMG S-Class coupe. These clips did more than show off luxury. They later became proof that the money from the cloud operation was used to fund his high-end lifestyle. Why would someone reveal so much if they were running a scam? Pride was one reason. Another was the need to maintain his influencer image. The more he showed off, the more followers believed his story of success. What they didn't see was that much of that success came from using stolen computing power. Investigators followed the trail of digital coins. They tracked them through online exchanges, an NFT marketplace, and a digital payment service until the funds reached bank accounts. This digital trail showed a clear path from the stolen computer access to real-world spending. The money went toward luxury travel, jewelry, and that Mercedes coupe. In April 2024, a grand jury charged Parks with wire fraud, money laundering, and using money from unlawful transactions. The document said he kept creating new fake accounts after the older ones were closed for violating service rules. He was taken into custody that same month. While the listed charges carried long possible prison terms, the real story centered on his court documents, negotiations, and how much money was actually taken. In December 2024, Parks pleaded guilty in federal court in Brooklyn. His plea focused on the main issue, setting up fake companies to get cloud access and using that access to create cryptocurrency without paying for the services. The guilty plea made the remaining legal questions simpler, but it didn't erase the public record of what investigators called a large-scale theft from 2 major cloud companies. Sentencing took place in August 2025. The U.S. Attorney's Office in New York announced that Judge Eric Comity gave Parks a sentence of 1 year and 1 day in prison. The court also ordered him to give up $500,000 and the Mercedes-Benz he had purchased with the proceeds. Officials said Parks stole millions in cloud services and produced nearly $1 million in cryptocurrency. They also noted that his story showed how someone could use technical knowledge to take advantage of real companies while using social media to appear successful. During the sentencing, prosecutors used Parks' own videos as part of their evidence. They said his public image was built on false success and that his online statements revealed how he gained trust while secretly taking resources for himself. Investigators called what he did cryptojacking. It means using someone else's computers without permission to create cryptocurrency. They explained that Parks carefully planned how to get access to those systems and use them for his personal profit. When the court decided on the sentence, it considered several things. The judge looked at the amount of loss, Parks' role in the plan, the need to prevent similar actions by others, and whether the victims would be repaid. The sentence included both forfeiture and a pending decision on restitution. Officials said the punishment showed accountability. It sent a message that using someone else's computing resources under false pretenses is still theft, no matter how technical the method or how glamorous the lifestyle looks online. The next individual who went viral for music went viral again, for all the wrong reasons. He became famous as a teenager with a catchy song that everyone could sing along to. That single turned a quiet kid into a public figure almost overnight. Kisean Paul Anderson, better known as Sean Kingston, was born in Miami and spent much of his early life in Jamaica before starting his music career in the late 2000s. But his story took a very different turn from what fans expected. It went from music and red carpets to a courtroom, where he faced accusations of a financial scheme involving more than $1 million worth of luxury goods. These items came from small businesses and dealers who thought they were working with a legitimate buyer. Between April 2023 and March 2024, according to official records, Kingston and his mother arranged deals for expensive items. Sellers were contacted on social media, invited to his Florida home, and told they would receive exposure through his celebrity accounts or connections to other stars. The items mentioned in the official report included several luxury watches, a 232-inch LED screen, and a specially protected Cadillac Escalade. When it was time to confirm payment, Kingston or his mother sent what looked like official bank transfer receipts. The issue was that these receipts were not real. No money ever arrived. Some sellers waited months for payment, others took legal action, and a few only received their money after contacting the authorities. The setup was simple. Kingston's name and reputation gave the deals credibility. His mother, Janice Turner, created or used fake wire receipts to make it look like payments had been made. Investigators later found messages suggesting Kingston knew about these documents. In one message presented in court, Kingston reportedly told his mother, "I told you to make a fake receipt so it looks like the transfer will be there in a couple of days." That message became a major point in the trial. When asked why he would take such risks, prosecutors gave a straightforward answer: lifestyle. They described Kingston as someone who loved the look of wealth, cars, jewelry, and status, and used his fame to gain trust in deals that had no real payment behind them. An attorney told the court that Kingston often avoided paying and relied on his celebrity name to convince others. His defense team, however, said he was inexperienced with money and depended heavily on others, including his mother, to manage his finances. The judge said parts of the defense made sense, but still noted that Kingston was responsible for his choices. Investigators said this was not a one-time issue, but a repeated pattern. The affected sellers included jewelers, a company that installed the massive television, and a luxury car dealer who provided the armored Escalade. Authorities stepped in after receiving multiple complaints. In May 2024, a special team carried out a search at Kingston's rented mansion in Southwest Ranches, Florida. His mother was detained there, and Kingston was later taken in at a California military training site. While those moments made headlines, the most important evidence in court was digital. It included text messages, the fake transfer records, and testimony from sellers who said they had been misled. The trial revealed how a small-scale scam had grown under the protection of fame. In March 2025, a federal jury found Kingston and his mother guilty of conspiracy and several counts of financial fraud. Kingston chose not to testify. His mother admitted she had created false records, saying she did it to protect her son. Prosecutors argued it was a deliberate plan, not an act of protection. The jury found them both responsible, and the defense argument that Kingston was simply careless could not outweigh the messages and testimony presented in court. Many people wondered how sellers trusted the deal in the first place. The answer came down to trust and opportunity. Kingston's team invited them to his home, offered visibility to millions of followers, and promised connections with other celebrities. For smaller companies, that kind of exposure could mean real growth. Once they received what looked like verified payment receipts, they went ahead with deliveries. Only later did they find out the payments had never cleared. By then, the items were gone, and the losses had already occurred. In court, prosecutors described the entire setup as a calculated plan that used fame to look legitimate and fake documents to make it appear real. Kingston's lawyers tried to show him as a man who lacked financial knowledge and was caught up in a system that gave him money and fame too early. The judge listened to both sides carefully. He considered Kingston's young rise to fame and the consistent pattern of similar complaints. In the end, the decision reflected both the size of the financial losses and each person's role in the plan. On March 28, 2025, the jury found them guilty. A few months later, on August 15th, U.S. District Judge David S. Leibowitz gave Kingston a sentence of 42 months in federal custody. His mother had already received a 5-year sentence in July. In court, Kingston wore a black suit and white shirt. He apologized and said he had learned from his actions. However, the judge denied his request to serve the time at home and ordered him to begin his sentence immediately. The judge acknowledged that Kingston had accepted some responsibility, but also pointed out that the evidence showed a clear pattern of repeated deception. The next man said he could turn faith into fortune. Instead, he turned trust into debt. Claude Roderick Rick Kerber built a public image that combined bold real estate promises with strong political opinions. He often held long seminars and promoted a system he called equity milling. He presented himself as a skilled investor who could turn simple real estate deals into huge profits. Between 2004 and 2008, many people invested money in his network of companies. By the time authorities started looking closely, almost $100 million had moved through his operations. Investigators later said there was a clear pattern. Money that investors believed was going toward real estate projects was actually being redirected. Some of it went to pay earlier investors, some kept struggling companies afloat, and some funded Kerber's personal lifestyle. That lifestyle included expensive cars, fine dining, movie projects, and collectible coins. All these things helped him appear successful, even when the business was failing. Kerber's past helps explain how he gained trust. He was born in Casper, Wyoming in 1973. As a student, he was intelligent and great at debate. In his late teens, he joined the LDS Church. His early business years weren't smooth. He admitted to breaking Wyoming securities laws and declared bankruptcy in 2001. But after moving to Utah, he began rebuilding his image. He did this through seminars, radio programs, and personal connections. For many followers, Kerber's talks were more than business lessons. He often mixed discussions about capitalism, faith, and personal success. This helped people see him as a teacher, not just a salesman. However, financial records showed a different picture. Investors believed their money was going into real estate with real property behind it. In truth, it was a web of shell companies and circular transfers. These moves hid major losses and sent money wherever Kerber wanted. The federal case against him was filed in January 2017. Prosecutors charged Kerber with multiple counts, including wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. The indictment described companies like Founders Capital as entities Kerber controlled almost completely. Investors were told they could earn between 24% and 60% returns each year. These numbers were unusually high, yet they helped attract a large amount of money quickly. According to prosecutors, the system depended on new investments to pay earlier investors. It looked like real estate trading. But underneath, it worked like a financial chain that could only continue as long as new money came in. When the case finally reached trial, years later, the courtroom revealed a long list of. They spoke of movie projects, restaurants, and expensive items that prosecutors said were not real investments. Instead, they were meant to make Kerber look more successful. The defense argued that Kerber was simply a risk-taking entrepreneur. They said real estate deals can fail, and that complex accounting doesn't necessarily mean there was intent to mislead anyone. But after weeks of evidence, a federal jury found him guilty on 15 counts, including wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. He was cleared of 2 tax-related charges. Many people wondered why so many invested in the first place. The answer lies in Kerber's charm and presentation. His seminars were long but convincing. He spoke confidently, used big terms, and showed proof of success through videos, testimonials, and visible wealth. A lot of his investors were also from the same community and shared faith background, which increased trust. Promises of high monthly returns and the influence of a confident speaker created a powerful effect. People saw what looked like profit and followed a leader who seemed credible. Kerber hid his activities through several layers. He created multiple companies and shifted money and property between them to make everything appear legitimate. Investor funds were used to close deals that looked real, but returns were often paid using new investment money. On paper, his equity mill looked like a smart investment plan. In reality, it worked like a financial loop that kept paying investors even though the actual portfolio was losing money. When authorities reviewed the accounts, they found major inconsistencies and unexplained transfers. Investigators said that nearly half of the money collected went toward paying earlier investors and covering personal or unrelated business expenses. Even after the trial, Kerber continued to challenge the case. His legal team filed appeals about evidence, procedure, and how the investigation was handled. In August 2021, the 10th Circuit Court reviewed his claims. The court upheld most of the trial's decisions and left his conviction in place. Judges agreed that even if there were some issues, they weren't serious enough to change the outcome. In October 2019, Korber was sentenced to 14 years and 2 months in federal custody. He was also ordered to pay about $45 million in restitution to investors. Prosecutors wanted a longer sentence, saying the financial harm to victims was extensive and that a strong message needed to be sent. Supporters at the hearing asked the judge for leniency, saying that the case was complicated and that Korber's actions weren't as clear-cut as portrayed. The judge followed federal guidelines and balanced both sides before deciding. Korber began serving his time soon after sentencing. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he requested early release due to health concerns, but the court denied it.